All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Adrian Carmona, and I'm once again excited to be hosting yet another edition of the Varsity Live Pregame Show. We have an exciting show for you today. A lot of good matchups coming up for us to preview. A lot of good matchups. Uh, just because it's nearing the end of the regular season, a lot of these games are going to be with playoff implications. So stick around. We have a lot of good matchups from schools like Saguaro, Tucson, and Mountain View to pregame. And if you reach back out, join again later tonight for the postgame show, we will be giving you all the recaps of these games of which we are going to preview tonight. So without further ado, let's get into it. We are actually going to start off today with Nick Furman, who's going to be highlighting some of the big high school football game matchups from this weekend. So without further ado, Nick, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Adrian?
I'm doing great.
All right. So we got some big important matchups, like you said. It is towards the end of the season. Many of these matchups do have playoff implications. The first one is Mountain View at Tolleson tonight. Mountain View's 6-1. They've been red hot all year long. Tolleson's won 6, but you can't get caught up in the wash and have try to escape the upset. And then down in Tucson, Tucson High is 5-2, and they're playing Flowing Wells, that's 3-4, and another. Got to be careful with those teams that don't really have much to lose. To our next one, Thunderbird, 6-1 versus Buckeye, 2-5. Again, another one of those you can't take lightly because then they have a team with nothing to lose is very scary. And then you have Liberty, which is 6-1, and they are playing Saguaro, who won their first game last week, and I was at that game. I called it. Saguaro's got a lot of momentum. I know they're 6-1, but they got a lot of momentum. Probably the biggest matchup I would say is Basha, who is 6-1 versus Chandler High, 5-2. Always in the 6A, title fight. That's going to be another great matchup. And then Hamilton High, who is 6-1 versus Castile, who's 4-3. Castile, this is a big time. They need this win to stay alive in the playoff hunt. And another, this is kind of national, but modern day 7-0 versus St. John Bosco, 8-0. California, Southern California. Those are the number 1 and 2 team in the country, not just the state of California, but the country. So that's another great matchup.
Yeah, some great matchups you just previewed, and you're absolutely right. Those teams that have nothing to lose are the most dangerous. That's what we usually call those trap games. Very well put, Nick, and thank you for your preview.
Thank you.
All right, and yep, well, once again, thank you to Nick for highlighting those big matchups, as he said so eloquently. A lot of big matchups because a lot of playoff implications are on the line now with these teams as we hit week 10 of the regular season of high school football. So the first game we're going to talk about tonight is going to be the Saguaro game. So as Nick highlighted a little bit, they won their first game of the season last week against Chaparral. Very big for them. First win under their new head coach, Darius Kelly. It was a great game for their quarterback too, Marcel Jones, 4 total touchdowns, and their defense, who had been very underwhelming, giving up over 30 points a season. They gave up their least points of the season last week with only 21. So we are going to bring in Mason Byers, who's going to be giving us a full pregame report from the Saguaro game. Mason, how's it going?
Good, Adrian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm out here at Saguaro versus Liberty. I'll do a little pan. You can see we're out here. Great night to be out here. Great weather. Sun's about to set before kickoff, but like Nick kind of pointed out to earlier, Saguaro is 1-6. Liberty 6-1. Their only loss being to a California team. Liberty is coming off an open division state championship, and they're trying to run it back. They played really good this year. And they've shown that against really good teams like Basha and other great. They're going to play them later this year, but other great programs that Liberty's play. But just want to talk about Saguaro a little bit. I think this is a trap game for Liberty. Honestly, I think Liberty might be coming in here maybe a little too confident. Maybe they saw Saguaro on the schedule and maybe chalked it up as a win already. But Saguaro coming off their first win under Darius Kelly, Marcel Jones, his first win as a starting quarterback here at Saguaro. They've been playing really good football these past couple weeks. I know they only have one win to show for it, but they've improved every single week. And Liberty's coming off probably, besides their loss, their worst game of the year. So it's a home game. Stands are starting to fill up pretty quickly. I really think a lot of people might think this is going to be a one-sided match, and I think Saguaro is coming out here. They have a lot to play for. Their season is not over yet. If they win out, they can still make the playoffs. And Coach Kelly, Marcel Jones, the Whitaker brothers, they have so much fight in them, and I've seen that every single time I've been out here. So I really expect Saguaro to come out swinging. I think Marcel Jones is going to be the key to this game. I think they need to use his legs and get him out in the open. And I think if they do that, it's going to be a really good game here tonight.
Yep, very well put. Well put, Mason. Well, thank you so much for the preview. I hope you have fun at the game.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Have a good show.
You too. All right, so that was Mason previewing the Saguaro game, and he put it, hit the nail right on the head. Saguaro just got their first win last week. I think Liberty is heading into a trap game, especially at Saguaro. They've been playing with so much fight over the last few weeks. They have improved every week. Their defense played their best game of the year last week against Liberty, and now they're going to have a lot of momentum going against Liberty. Sorry, they're going last week against Chaparral. Their defense played the best game of the season, and now this week against Liberty, Liberty will be going into a trap game with Saguaro's momentum. So now the next game we're going to be looking at. Next game we're going to be looking at is the Tustin game. So they won last week at Maricopa at home, and now they go back home for another game against Flowing Wells. Last week leaned on their rushing attack. They had over 180 yards rushing, and their defense played really well to give them the win too, as they intercepted Maricopa 2 times. So we're going to head over to Ray Cervantes, who's going to be giving us the Tustin pregame.
Hey, Adrian, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. Just getting ready for the Tucson Magnet High game. It's a big night, kind of like you said. They're doing pretty good so far this year. Only like real big loss was to Marana, and I mean they look like contenders. Like they might make it far in the playoffs. And then they had another loss to Ironwood Ridge. I think that was only by a couple points or 1 point maybe. And we saw Ironwood Ridge earlier this year, and they were a pretty good squad. So to really give them a fight like that, it says something about this Tucson High team. Also, like apart from that, it's their senior night, so you're gonna expect that they're gonna come out pretty strong, like trying to show out in their final game at home. But yeah, on the other side of it, Flowing Wells, 3-4, kind of on a 3-game losing streak right now. So trying to bounce back from that against the good Tucson High team. We're gonna see how it goes tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you, Ray, for your very well put preview. Have a good night.
Thanks. Have a good night, Adrian.
All right. So once again, thank you to Ray, who was just giving us the pregame report on the Tustin game. Tustin, once again, looked like a really good team. Very big wins for them over the season. So as we take a break, as we wait for our last guest, Layla, who will be giving us the Mountain View preview. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining tonight so far. If you tune in tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time or 8 p.m. West Coast Time, I will be hosting the Varsity National Live Postgame Show, where we'll be highlighting a lot of the big high school matchups and stories from mostly East Coast states. So for me, I'll be giving a Florida postgame report, and you'll also be hearing from other places like Alabama, Indiana. So that will be very exciting. And if you tune in at 10 p.m. West Coast time, that's where I will be hosting the Varsity postgame show, where we will be giving the recaps and the postgame reports on all the games that we are highlighting and previewing right now. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, as we said, very big week for high school football, as a lot of these games do have playoff implications with seeding and all that. Even Saguaro at 1-6, if they win out, they're still in the playoffs. So every game is still just as important as the last. And yeah, we're just in week 10 of high school football. It feels crazy that we're already at this point. It feels like we just, kicked off the season. But it is very exciting, especially when it gets to postseason football. This is really just the golden time for the major sports right now. Um, for all the major sports, World Series Game 1 happening right now between the Dodgers and Yankees. NBA just started back up again. I believe a lot of teams are just, this is opening week. That's always exciting. And even now, football is just, starting to wind down in the regular season as we get to postseason football. Other than that, also college football at the same time going on. A lot of big matchups between ranked teams, and yeah, just a lot of good stuff going on. Just to highlight a little bit of that Mountain View game before we have our guests show up. They had a dominant win last week over Mesa, 63-30, and now this week they're on the road against Talisan. Their quarterback for Mountain View, Brady Goodman, was very, very good last week. He had 5 total touchdowns, and you saw a crazy stat too last week. Reese Bodley, 318 rushing yards, and had a 29-yard touchdown reception. So outstanding game from him. And just to touch a little bit more on these matchups that we have already previewed, Saguaro, I think honestly from the games that we've previewed so far, I think Saguaro is the team to look out for. They just, they're coming off their first win of the season under new head coach Darius Kelly last week. And, they're just going to be playing with a lot of momentum, a lot of pride. I think they're going to get out to a fast start, especially with Marcel Jones, get him going early. Last week, he had 4 total touchdowns, 2 through the air and 2 on the ground. So very productive from him. And also their running back, Elias Jones, had 200 rushing yards. So I think if they, just lean on that run game and lean on their improving defense every week, I think they could really, make some noise against Liberty, who's 6-1 and just one of the best teams out right now. So yeah, once again, want to thank you all for joining another edition of the Varsity Live Pregame Show. My name is Adrian Carmona. We have just gone through some of the big matchups of this week so far in the Arizona area. We have Saguaro, who is at home this week against Liberty, 6-1 Liberty versus 1-6 Saguaro. Tussin also too, playing against Flowing Wells. Last week, very good defense and using the rushing attack. That should be a good game again. And then we are currently waiting on one of our guests who will be giving us the preview on Mountain View after their 33-point win over Mesa last week. Sorry about that. Other than that, we got some big matchups, college football World Series going on, a lot of just exciting things happening in the sports world. Always excited to see that. And yep, so once again, very good matchups. Hope you guys tune in later to our post-game show. We'll be giving you the recap of all of these games going on. And with that, that'll be the end of this edition of the Varsity Live Pregame Show. My name is Adrian Carmona. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in once again on another weeknight, another edition of Friday Night Lights with some good matchups ahead. So thank you guys and have a good night.